Ranking Member Takano, I now recognize you for your opening statement.
Well, thank you, Chairman Bost. Mr. Secretary, good afternoon. When I first heard of your nomination to this position, I recall saying to my staff, I think we'll be able to do some good work at VA with Doug Collins. I had optimism based on your time as a member of this chamber that you would have an appreciation for our duty to perform oversight. When a new secretary is confirmed, every member of this committee, Republican or Democrat, wants to see them succeed. And because veterans deserve leadership, not chaos. Well, I've had to say this is why it's incredibly upsetting and frustrating to me that the questions my colleagues and I have about decisions you have made in your short tenure at VA remain unanswered. You came in with an opportunity to build trust across this institution and across the aisle, but instead you've undermined it, not just with me, but with VA staff and with the veterans who rely on VA every day. I reviewed your Senate testimony, and any reasonable viewer would conclude that you were evasive and not transparent with your answers. So I hope you will not do that with us today, and I would say to you, you have the power to change course. Veterans need answers, not excuses. We'll see today whether you're ready to lead or just continue to blame. This hearing is the first time we have met in person since you were sworn in. You haven't so much as called me since your confirmation 99 days ago. My experience with your predecessor was that he would proactively call both me and the chairman before major news broke about VA, so that our first time finding out about it wasn't from reading the paper or seeing it on television. For instance, he would have called us before canceling a program as important as VASP, where the consequences for veterans are as dire as foreclosure on their own homes. This is the basic transparency that I expect from the Secretary, so we can work together on the challenges facing VA. Now, VA is not perfect. It's never been perfect. We are not satisfied with the status quo at VA, and that is what brought all of us to work on this committee. But we are not just going to blindly support your changes at VA without you giving us all the facts or any semblance of a plan. You have not earned our trust, at least not yet. And that is what I will be listening for today. Answers that contain facts and plans that are based on those facts. Last week before the Senate, you failed to answer questions asking for details about decisions you have made as Secretary. Senator Hirono asked you the exact dollar amount that VA claims to have saved from firing staff. You rather flippantly threw out a culture war statement about DEI instead of answering her question. Senator Bozeman raised questions about VASP, and you gave a rather incomplete answer. Questions about how many clinical trials are on pause and how many veterans are affected by that pause on clinical trials were also unanswered. This morning in the Milcon VA Appropriations Subcommittee, you admitted that VA shifted over $300 million to private for-profit community care without following the law. That money was meant to support care and capacity inside VA. Instead, it was siphoned away from veterans' hospitals and clinics and handed off to the private sector. Now, the law is very clear. If VA needs more funding for community care, it must ask Congress, not illegally raid funds meant for direct VA care. Both the chair, Chairman Carter, and Ranking Member Wasserman Schultz of the Appropriations Subcommittee agree with what I just said, and so does the chairman of the full committee. So I chair a full Appropriations Committee, and I hope Chairman Bost joins me and joins the appropriation four corners in demanding accountability on this very point. Now, this morning, before the Milcon VA Appropriations Subcommittee, you also gave very disturbing answers to questions about the effects of pauses on clinical trials. You said that having clinical trials paused is not affecting veterans' health care, that it's above and beyond health care. Is that really what you are saying to veterans with cancer whose hopes are pinned on clinical trials that they can no longer access? All of the questions we are going to ask today are ones that you should have come prepared to answer, and I will be disappointed if you're not prepared. We have already asked many of them in letters, and many of them have already been asked in your previous appearances before the Senate and before the House Appropriations Subcommittee. This is basic congressional oversight. The members and staff on both sides of this committee collectively have centuries of experience working on VA policy and serving our nation. We have written some of the most consequential pieces of veteran legislation in history, including the Honoring Our Pact Act. We can only carry out our oversight responsibility as mandated in the Constitution if you answer our questions fully and truthfully. We have serious concerns about your plans related to the VA workforce, and this hearing is an opportunity for you to put our minds at ease. VA is comprised of over 400,000 dedicated employees who show up every day, motivated by the call to service to deliver the care and benefits veterans have earned. The majority of veterans are satisfied with their VA care. Let me say that again. The majority of veterans are satisfied with their VA care, yet many have expressed to me the weight of the chaos and turmoil they have witnessed during Trump's first 100 days, and are left wondering what will happen to the care they rely on and love. They are worried that their provider, with whom they have spent years building rapport and trust, could lose their job. Now, I have a poster behind me. We have heard from a veteran for whom this fear sadly became a reality. This veteran lost her whole health coach, who she described as, quote, the only person really making a difference in my life. We have heard countless stories of the trauma and harassment VA staff have endured at the hands of Trump's senior advisors and political appointees since day one of this administration. I want to hear directly from you today whether you agree with the director of OMB, Russell Vogt, that the trauma is the point. Does this administration want to traumatize public servants into submission or into quitting their jobs so the work can be farmed out to Trump's billionaire friends? Let me tell you one thing clearly. Mr. Secretary, VA is not for sale. I am truly worried about the combative tone you have taken in addressing VA staff. You have instilled a culture of fear by making them sign non-disclosure agreements and accusing them of rumors and innuendo. Frankly, it's insulting and demeaning that you continue to accuse VA staff and veterans of lying about their experiences, their concerns, and the things they're seeing with their own eyes. How are the veterans supposed to be inspired, how are employees of VA supposed to be inspired to fight for a better VA with you if you are constantly positioning yourself against them as if they are the enemy? I would say fear as a tactic for leadership is not effective. As one clinician put it, and behind me I have it up in print, quote, I have felt harassed by and have diminished faith in the leadership of the VA secretary who continually throws VA employees under the bus and has shown no interest in learning about the concerns of his frontline staff. His line about VA now putting veterans first particularly irks me. In my 15 years of working at 2 different VA medical centers, I know we have always put veterans first, end quote. And that's from a VA psychiatrist. We need more answers about your plans for VA. These plans directly affect veteran staff and the economy in all our districts. You have set a goal to fire 83,000 employees. It is a goal, and it's been publicly stated. Leaving VA staff waking up every morning with the torture of not knowing if that day is their last one with a job. You took away veterans' last lifeline to keep their homes when they faced foreclosure, when you ended the VASP program. You are doing all these things during a time of financial turmoil for families in America while we deal with the impacts of Trump's chaotic tariffs and economic policies. We're all trying to make sense of it all so that we can better serve veterans. Mr. Secretary, I hope that this hearing today is an opportunity to build some trust, and I want to have confidence in your leadership, and as the leader of VA, you owe it to VA staff and you owe it to veterans to be transparent and forthcoming and to take some accountability. You have the opportunity to answer our questions fully and truthfully, and I hope that you will seize that opportunity. And with that, I yield back.